Ladies, man. They will shoot your leg. Those girls, don't worry. And the man has to carry for back, go hospital. Don't worry. But you not go die. Don't worry.
Yeah. Ladies first, or should I start with Koyin or should I start with Dede? I want to just do it like individually. Koyin or Dede, who should I start with? Anyone.
Eeny, meeny, miny,
Okay, let me start with Dede. I can already hear her name here. So you were very, very interesting, in the season. I think you had an amazing game because, every single year, what we hear is like, there's a guy and then there are a couple of girls, on that situation. For the first time, you gave us the girl is mine, instead of the boy is mine. But then you were like, the task entrepreneur. You won a lot of tasks as well. And you were polarizing. So it's like, it's either people loved you or they didn't. So, but then there was always a conversation about Dede. But I would say that I absolutely loved that, I loved your game. Let's just put it that way.
Thank
but
you.
Then let's get to your first of all. What's your favorite highlight? Or task?
Me winning the Super Commando.
You
task.
can't call brands, but you winning the drink brand.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that one.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I don't want to ask the next question. I was going to ask about Faith, but let's leave that. So let's talk about your time in the house. I mean, it all started from Dede not hugging some of the guys, and it was just a big deal, right? Even up to the last moment. But I'm going to start with the box incident. A lot of people felt like, which I also asked on Sultana as well, that she wasn't remorseful enough. But now that you're here, because she also said she did apologize and she was remorseful. Do you think that she did clear the air and she was remorseful?
All I can say is that she did apologize.
Okay. Yeah. But did you think she was, remorseful about it?
I don't know. She did apologize.
She did apologize. Okay. So I'm going to move on from that. And another thing, week 1 to week 3 was obviously your friendship with Jay Singh. They called it Dede. So it was like, the friendship was there, particularly when you guys were in that bus laughing. That was like a big trend. People were excited about that. But somehow it just crashed. Why do you think that friendship, from your opinion, why do you think that friendship fizzled out so quickly?
I think it would be crazy if we never had any issue in the house for 10 weeks. It would be so unreal. But just like any other friendship, we had our moments. There was a wave. So, and I think that's totally fine. That's like totally fine. But there's no I can't say this is a particular reason. Sometimes things just happen. And it doesn't really necessarily mean that it's one big thing that happened. Take breaks, we'll come back, we'll laugh again. It's fine. It happens.
Okay. You're not giving me any reason as to why
there's no particular
reason.
reason.
But we'll move on further. I don't have time, unfortunately. Cool. And then move to color. At the beginning, there was like so many media rounds. We have to talk about this. So many media rounds about Dede. I was just like, Kola, calm down. What is your problem? But then at some point it moved from... maybe Kola is not being delusional at the end of the day. But do you think at some point you gave him mixed signals that he was holding on to?
I have absolutely no idea. But honestly, I don't know.
Did you do that to retain him in the pond?
What pond?
There
was never a pond. There was never a pond. We didn't even know this was a thing until we got out of the house. In the house, it was like, okay, it happened. I said it, but I didn't know it was a big thing until after the show. But it was, to me, there was no pond, and I didn't do anything to retain anybody. At the end of the day, everybody had the choice to walk away if they wanted to. So if you stayed, it's because you wanted to stay, not because I said you have to stay. It was never a do or die thing. Every single person had the choice. So it never fell back to me. It just, I'm just a character in the movie.
Okay. And the last person, we'll mention Koyin, but obviously this was, a friendship. But this angle I'm coming from. So it was like, comments, for instance, Zita is saying, I know he wanted more, but he just had to settle. Just comment here and there. And it was like, why don't you ever just debunk it that it was just friendship? What do you have to say to that?
I always did. Told every single person that it was just friendship. Anybody who cared to ask. But at the end of the day, it was just friendship. We had a conversation. We understood each other. There was a common ground. And we didn't cross that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So last question I'm asking, at the end of the day, just all your time in the house, what was something you learned about Dede?
That I can be everything but perfect, and that's okay.
Okay. So we'll move to Jason. You were charismatic, competitive. Obviously, you won a lot of tasks as well. Emotionally unfiltered, because sometimes you're like, hey, Jason, why do you have to say it like that? Why do you have to say it like that? A lot to say about you. First and last, HOH. But I think the beautiful thing about you is that you built your fan base brick by brick. So it's like for some people from day one, we just heard your names for whatever reason that was. But for you, it was like, oh, this guy deserves a great fan base, because you were giving so much, particularly in the beginning of the show, and it was beautiful to see how your fans just built up, and now you have, I don't know what they're called, but you have an army.
The J Force.
Okay, so proud of it. So I think that made me feel good, because you were giving so much. I was like, we're your fans, but now I see them, everywhere as well. But speaking of your games, some of those games are vexing us, Sha. Let's just put it that way. But then you came in ready to dominate the HH games. Like, I could see that. But then, of course, you getting in, you just realize it boils down to a lot of things, luck, precision, your mental games. So pretty much it was just not one way. So how were you able to navigate, that mentally?
Yeah, I wasn't new to games, because that's my thing. So getting in there and seeing that there's a part of the whole show where we could just play games. I say there's a fun activity. So that was my space. And I came in, I did my thing, and like you rightly said, it's not always about one thing. There was different
so many aspects
to it, and I'm glad I was able to learn other things.
Okay.
Basically.
My question is a follow-up question, and that's from the interviews that you have done so far. I think I even caught one of your interviews today where somebody wanted to reaffirm, saying that, Sultana, chased you or relentlessly chased you, and you said yes. I kind of agree, funny enough. I think that she was persistent. However, where does accountability for your actions come to play? This is where I'm going. Yeah, she was persistent, but it was a case of you also probably indulging it. And this is where I'm coming from. From the first instance, you had finished from your head of us and you're like, what, I'm coming to your bed. In my head, what do you think was going to happen? Because clearly there was an attraction there, and then you go to say, I don't want to be on that bed. And there's a goodbye kiss. And I'm like, this dude, what is he thinking? So it was a case where, yes, we heard, where you're like, oh, this is not going to happen. And she probably say, if you don't sleep on my bed, I won't talk to you. We saw all of that. But it was also a case where you were saying these things, but your action wasn't keeping it, like making it firm. So where do you take accountability for the part that you also played?
Okay, so firstly, I take full responsibility for every action I made in the house, good, bad, ugly. And that being said, what happened in the house happened, and I'm glad we've moved on from that.
Okay, we'll move on from that as well. So a lot of people also felt that you had, maybe double standards, and that's because, you're dancing with Joanna. We loved it, by the way. I always look forward to that. But at the same time, like, something happened with Culture and Sultana, and then you were pissed off. So it's like, you don't want to be boxed, and we love that. But at the same time, why doesn't it apply to her?
We're humans at the end of the day, so I don't know. I'm just
Jason, this is not all of a sudden you don't want to say anything. Okay, but then have you I know that I saw Ibuka's video. How are things now with your girlfriend? Is it getting better?
I'm not talking about that right now. It's private.
Okay, I'm wishing you luck. That's why I was asking. But
thank you very much.
Good luck with that.
Thank you very much.
Speaking of you and Koyin, though, I was hoping to see like a bromance in the house, and that's because you guys just had this back and forth sometimes where you there was like good vibes. Why didn't you give us like a bromance?
Koyin's my guy. I know our relationship started slow and started rocky, but like I said on his birthday, Koyin was the one person I was, I appreciated. I just didn't have that conversation with him, in time. And I said I saw myself in him, his passion, his all of that. And, over time, the relationship built up naturally. So he's my guy.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to move on, from that. Let's just move on. But I'm going to say this though. I feel like for some reason, I don't know what it is. Like every other person says it, it's not a problem. But the moment Jason says something online, they start to drag you. I don't know. Sometimes because I don't know what it is, So that is something I've been able to, I'm not.
Yeah, it feels like everybody's fan base is against me, but that's fine.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know, but I'm just glad I have the J Force. My people are, very active, and that's just amazing.
Anyways, you'll be fine. Plus, again, you were sort of,
100%.
associated with like females that have strong, passionate fan bases as well.
Yeah,
so it's
figured.
like every angle, arrow. But anyways, let's move away from Jason real quick, and let me move to Koyin. Koyin, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. Always active.
Yes.
100.
So, where's your headspace at this moment?
Yeah, I'm just happy, excited, overwhelmed at the same time.
It seems like some of the people you seem to be good with in the house as at Sunday, you're out and, there's tension. Why is that? Real quick.
Can we pass on that?
I'm not asking anything deeper. I'm just saying, why is there tension? That's all I'm asking.
No, I didn't just want to say anything.
You don't want to say anything in that? Who do you have tension with?
Nobody.
Nobody.
I didn't just want to say anything.
Okay. So let's move on from that. I still need to ask you though. I still need to ask you, where do you stand right now, in your friendships, particularly the major friendships you had, like Dede, Isabella, where do you stand?
I'm cool with everybody. That's all I would say. That's all.
Okay. Koyin is not, answering the questions, but we're going to take that as that. But moving on from that question, what's the coming out of the house? What is something that you've heard about yourself that is unexpected?
Is there anything unexpected to that? I'm just a cool guy. That's all.
Okay, so my next question is, so you see how you started the game and you were very emotional when, K-Baba said something and you were crying. So you felt like, oh, he's a softie. And the next thing, you flipped the switch. You became like nonchalant. You wouldn't react to things in the house. So it's, so there was like, emotional Koyin. So where's that person? So which one was the real you at the end of the day?
Both. That's why my fans call me Koyinator's ex Coco Melon. So the emotional part of Koyin and the stronger part of Koyin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't give you accolades though. You were also very competitive.
Thank you.
You were the life of the party.
Thank
I think
you.
you had a self-confidence that made people curious as to how's the guys feeling? Like, what are you feeling? Like, so people don't even know if you're mad or not. And I found that really, intriguing as well. But did any of the name callings get to you? Because only you, Chihuahua, rats, fish. Did any of that get to you?
Not at all.
Did that not get to you, or you were just pulling it off? No.
It's life. So let's just move on.
Okay. So another one. Sorry, I have to talk about this because it's a major. I know you don't want to talk about, the Dede and Isabella, but this is the angle I'm coming from. So very early in the game, you sort of felt like you clocked her strategy. You were having a conversation with Rude Boy. So you're like, you know what? I'm just going to be cool. But for somehow, that eventually, turned to a friendship. So at what point were you like, game or no game? I see her as a friend. I'm just going to, keep it going.
Do I see her? Just to the French.
Boy, I'm just gonna be like block.
Sorry.
Because you're not even answering my questions. But you also had your birthdays in the house. How did you feel about that?
Good, excited. That's my best birthday ever. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really excited about that. I really appreciate Big Brother for that, and I appreciate the housemate also. I'm so excited. Okay,
so we're going to move to Mensan real quick. Mensan, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Adekunle Silva.
Diamond, respect the Big Brother.
Oh, is it Adekunle Diamond? You won most influential twice, right? It was twice, right?
3 times, maybe 4 times.
Oh, you won a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. And you definitely wore your emotions as a badge as well. That was something that people saw a lot. But in terms of like you being emotionally vulnerable, was it like you were really, really vulnerable, with, getting emotional? Was it the game getting to you? Is that how you are on a normal day?
I think it's good for humans to be emotional. And I think it's not a bad thing for a man to be emotional. And I've always said that kings do cry too. About me, maybe showing my emotions is not because I'm weak. If you look at the environment, you don't even have access to your family or people you can actually confide. People you know very well that you can actually confide with, be confiding. So, being in that place, whenever I feel, how will I put it? Whenever I feel stressed or whenever I feel down, I don't have this connection to my family that I can actually talk to. So, the only thing I need to do is just to, put it out in the diary room, and I think the diary room is actually my safest place where I can actually talk to Big Brother. So that was just it. It wasn't any strategy or anything.
I mean, we love an emotional
I
man.
went in there real, so I don't care what they were.
Even now that you're talking, I can tell you're emotional.
Yeah, thank you.
But one of your highlights, I think it was so funny that Sunday where you and, Ivata kept going at it. But where do you guys stand? Because I remember you say, we're taking this to court or getting lawyers. Where do you stand now with that?
I was in the show and the show has ended. I move on. Okay,
so she's in the past. Okay, moving on from that, early in the season, because I was asking K-Bobo as well, because this was really funny, the bread situation. So, the whole, K-Bobo was so sure it was you were trying to defend yourself, and it just wasn't clicking. So how did you feel at that moment, and when it was finally revealed that it was Kaikumi, how did you feel?
I think, I actually knew it was Kaikumi, but...
And you still took it in?
No. Okay. The reason why I didn't say anything was that the manner in which he asked.
Yeah.
It was like, mensan, you stole my bread. He didn't even say, please, did you see? Or it wasn't polite at all. So I said, I'm not going to answer you. And he sparked up. And I was thinking maybe we were just going to shout, but the thing went from shouting to insulting me and insulting my background and stuff like that. So I gave it to him back too.
Okay. You seem to really like koyin as well. What was it about koyin?
Holy drops. Ladies, man. They will shoot your leg, those girls, don't worry. And I'm on to carry for back, go hospital, don't worry. But you not go die, don't worry.
Yeah.
So koyin is my guy. I don't even have to.
What was it about him? Because another thing that just made me realize that Mensa really likes this guy was when they played his song and you ran, just to show support, and that was beautiful.
Koyin is my real G. I can't take that from him. No. It's my guy. He's my guy. He understands me a lot, actually, and he advised me a lot. So
okay, so I'm already getting the signals. Yeah, but also, since you came out, what's the biggest misconception about you?
That I was being emotional just because I wanted people to fall for it and help me out, and it doesn't make any sense.
Okay.